Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, with my 100,000 subscribers Q&A special. I'm answering 100 of your questions, but if your specific question wasn't answered, don't take it too hard. There were like 1,000 questions asked. I'm not made of answers here, people. Before I begin, I just want to thank you guys again for helping me reach this milestone. Without you, none of this would be possible. YouTube may not have given me my silver play button, but who needs that shit when I have all of you? Alright, enough blowing smoke up your asses. Let's dive into these questions. Do you have any videos you regret making? I regret every video that I've ever made. Every time I press that upload button, a little part of me dies inside, and I think, wouldn't the world be a better place if I hadn't pressed that button? Keep watching my videos, though. How is your toilet paper situation holding up? I overbought toilet paper, sure. I've become desperate to use it all so I can save space. I've been constructing various craft projects out of toilet paper just to get rid of it all. I honestly don't know what toilet paper is usually used for, though. How important is in-universe consistency or canon to you when watching movies in a series, e.g. Jason's changing face or Halloween having a triple timeline? To me, fans get a little too fixated on timelines and consistency. Stuff like horror franchises are never planned out in advance. I'm fine with multiple timelines if it leads to new kinds of stories and interpretations from brand new creators. It's fun to point out flaws like Jason's sudden changes in appearance, but stuff like that has no bearing on the story. It's just different creative takes on a character, the same as how every artist draws Batman differently. At some point in the future, the Friday the 13th lawsuit will be settled, and we can hopefully have a new movie. When that happens, how would you like to see the series go? You seem a little too confident that the lawsuit will be settled at all, but I'll humor you. Bare basics, I want to see Camp Crystal Lake open, Jason as a mythic urban legend, and kids dying. It's gotta be dark and serious with some actual stakes. If you could build your own Scooby-Doo show from scratch and a blank check for whatever setting and premise, maybe even with a new cast of characters or personalities, what would that look like? I would want to make a new live-action Scooby-Doo that is faithfully true to the aesthetics and style of the original series, while also expanding on the characters, exploring their relationship dynamics, adding to their personalities so they're more interesting individually. It would be a funny series overall, though. I hate overly serious, dramatic live-action versions of cartoons like Riverdale. I describe the tone as a PG, kid-friendly version of Evil Dead, where the monsters are scary, but the violence is mild without gore. I'd want to cater to older kids while also appealing to the adults that watch the cartoons. My question is, which one of your old riff views that you made in the past are you most proud of / think still holds up today? I don't rewatch my videos, but I hope my Rob Zombie Halloween videos hold up. God, I hope they do. Hey Doc, what's some good advice on starting a YouTube channel? Make the kinds of videos you love to make. That way, even if nobody watches your videos for a while, like in my case, you'll still have fun enough to keep at it for the long run. What got you into horror, and why does horror remain relevant in society? I was afraid of horror movies at first, but when you're afraid of something, you become compelled to look, and eventually I got hooked. It's why horror is so enduring today. People are naturally drawn to the disturbing. Do you still plan on reviewing The Shining? Eventually I'd like to, but it's a movie that everybody talks about, so I'm afraid I might not have an interesting take. If you choose any two horror icons / villains to fight each other, like Freddy versus Jason style, who would you pick and why? I'd love to see Candyman and Ice Cream Man fight each other to decide which confection is the greatest. Personally, I think Ice Cream Man would win that fight. How do you get your beard so soft and silky? Oh, I just woke up like this. What got you into revealing movies? A man in the park revealed himself to me once, so I only seek to return the favor to all of you in the form of revealing movies. What got you interested in the realm of horror? I was born in it. Molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then it was nothing to me but blinding. Hey Doc, what is your favorite sci-fi flick? This is a bit of a deep cut, but I'm gonna blow your mind with my obscure choice. It's a little film called Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace. That Jar Jar Binks character makes it an endlessly enjoyable watch. He's just so fucking funny. Will you ever make good videos? Will you ever change your name from the disgraced Subway spokesmans? Congrats, Doc. It's me, Billy Zane. Also, what are your top 5 favorite Billy Zane movies? Number 5, Back to the Future. Number 4, Back to the Future Part 2. Number 3, Pocahontas 2, Journey to a New World. Number 2, Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. And number 1, The Phantom. Hey, Dr. Wolfula, how old are you? Old enough to party. What started your journey in horror movies? Like, what got you into horror movies? I think Boo to You, Winnie the Pooh is where it all began for me. What is your least favorite horror film of all time? I feel like it's unhealthy to fixate on the things that you dislike enough to keep tabs on what's the worst, but Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. What/who inspired you to start making videos? There was this site called X Entertainment that hosted articles on all kinds of obscure and weird products and media, including horror films, so I wanted to do something like that in video format. X Entertainment lives on today as a site called Dinosaur Dracula. Do you believe that the newest Halloween trilogy will be the best trilogy of any horror series yet? Whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. One movie has been released. I like that movie, but we don't know how the rest will pan out. I think the Evil Dead trilogy will probably still reign supreme. Out of the whole Scooby Gang, which character is your all-time favorite? Oh, well, that's easy. Velma. For no particular reason. Dr. Wolfula, what are some of the worst movies you have ever seen, and can you slap Goulash? Those fucking Godfather movies sucked besides the third one. Alright, get over here, Goulash. Have you ever tried to make a bride of Wolfula? I already have a wife named Meredith. Love you too, honey. Have you ever met an actor from a horror movie you've seen? I met Matthew Lillard, great guy in person. He was in Scream, but I give a fuck more about him being Shaggy. What are some shows you watched as a kid? There wasn't any television when I was a child. It wouldn't be invented for a few more eons, but I think I made up for it watching plenty of Scooby-Doo. So where did you get your mask, and how did you come up with your look? What do you mean, mask? This is my face, man. And everybody where I come from dresses like this. It's like how everybody on Krypton has logos on their chests. Have you seen every werewolf movie? If you didn't, will you do it while eating garlic bread? I try to see as few werewolf films as possible. Fuck werewolves. Though if garlic bread was involved, I might reconsider. What will you do if you ever hit 1 million subscribers? That'll never happen, but if it did, I suppose I'd treat myself to 2 cans of Fresca. What was the first piece of horror media you experienced? It might have been in the 19th century. I read this queer little story called Frankenstein, or the Modern Prometheus, written by Mrs. Percy B. Shelley. I tell you, that young lass had quite the imagination. A monster constructed from rifled body parts? An absurd thought. What's your favorite scary movie? I'll have to go with Scary Movie 2. Chris Elliott with the tiny hand always fucking cracks me up. Never gets old. Dear Dr. Wolfula, does your wife like goulash? No, in fact, that's one of the many things we bond over. If you could have a party at the Wolfula, who would you invite? Classic monsters or 80s slashers? Dude, there was a whole song about this. Take a guess. Hey Doc, what's your favorite cheesy horror flick? Maybe TerraVision. I caught it late at night on the MGM channel back when that still existed, and it was a pleasantly weird surprise. That channel was the only way to watch it for years too, because the movie didn't get a home video release for a while. Also, Medusa's kinda hot. Have you seen the new Halloween teaser? Yeah, all it really gives away is how Michael survives. The fire department shows up seconds after the end of the first movie, which is kinda silly to me, but I suppose we'll see how it plays out in the film. My question is, who do you prefer, John Carpenter or George Romero? Rest in peace, George Romero, but I just like a lot more John Carpenter movies. He had a lot of range in his prime. If they made a Dr. Wolfula movie, would it be a horror film or more mystery? And who would you want to play Dr. Wolfula besides yourself? It'd definitely be a whodunit style mystery for sure. No horror elements. I'd want Zachary Quinto to play me in a big budget film. No makeup or costume, just how he looks normally. Dr. Wolfula, will you review Cult of Chucky? I thought I already did, like 3 years ago. Will you consider new sunglasses? Also, how often do you clean the mask anyway? These sunglasses are brand new. I got them a couple weeks ago. And of course I clean my mask. You have to keep it clean during this pandemic. What's your favorite movie that most people hate? If so, would you recommend it for me? I love Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's like an R-rated Scooby-Doo movie with a hot goth chick instead of a talking dog. What's not to love? Dr. Wolfula, why did it take you so long for you to grow legs? I always had legs, jackass. I just have a really comfy chair. What are your thoughts on the Dark Universe, and how would you go about making some of the movies? There was one movie in the Dark Universe. Can we stop calling it that? It's the Universal Classic Monsters series. I honestly want the old school gothic vibe back, complete with fantasy elements, just with modern production values and with a darker, more adult tone to the monsters. Hey Doc, how many times has Goulash tried to escape? And what are the things you do off camera to keep him in line? Why would Goulash escape? I'm a super cool guy. Hey, where are you fucking going? Have you thought of having a collaboration with other horror hosts? Also, have you thought of starting a podcast with Goulash? I've made guest appearances in other YouTubers' videos and streams when I've been asked by them, but I otherwise have no interest in pursuing collabs. I just have more fun making vids solo, and I don't see crossovers as necessary, preferring to be a mostly self-contained thing. That said, I am planning to start a podcast with Goulash called Monster Mash, where we review every episode of MASH, and we're monsters. I'm excited. What is your favorite review you made? The Blair Witch Project review where Goulash goes in the Black Woods for me. Nobody watched that video though. Would you ever make your own horror movie, and what type of killer would be in your movie? I'd be the killer, but it'd be a snuff film. What do you keep in your fridge? Fresca. With all your movie expertise and knowledge, what would be a short synopsis of a movie you would do? Perhaps something revolving your origins and or what you do in your off time. I'd make a movie like Weekend at Bernie's, except instead of making a dead guy look like he's alive, it'd be a living dude trying to pass himself off as a dead body so he can have a funeral and be buried alive. I think that's $1 million idea. What's your opinion on the new Robert Pattinson Batman movie? I think the suit looks cool as this pieced together thing. I think it's promising because it seems like it might find a good middle ground between the comics and the more realistic tone of the Nolan films. So Doc, what is your favorite non-horror movie? A very Brady sequel. Doc, will you ever create a new servant/minion or just keep Goulash? I learned the errors of my ways after Goulash. Never again. What is your least favorite video that you made? I'm starting to think that it might be this one. If there was a Jason vs. Michael Myers film, would you watch it? I'd watch it, sure, but it'd probably be a piece of shit made to pander to brain-dead fanboys. Hey Doc, my question is, how do you think they will explain Michael surviving the house fire in Halloween 2018? Firemen put the fire out. Haven't you seen the teaser? Did you go to college? If so, what did you major in? I majored in African American Studies with a minor in social anthropology. My question has to do with your plans on revamping the channel, and you've mentioned adding more characters before. Will we be seeing any new monsters in the near future? Basically, I'm just going to be slowly rolling out updated intros, outros, and graphics to the various vids and streams on the channel. Also, I'm going to try to introduce new types of programming to the channel. As for new characters, I hope to introduce new residents of the Wolfula to you folks soon. I'm trying to make a comic about fighting monsters based on fears and phobias, and I want to start with a silly one. So what silly phobia do you recommend I start with? Dendrophobia, a fear of trees. Do you think that Freddy vs. Jason will ever get a sequel? That ship sailed 15 years ago. Just read the comic sequels. I have been wondering, since you like horror films, are you perhaps a fan of heavy music, meaning heavy metal? No, I like anything within the realm of sounding like Scooby-Doo music. Will you ever make a bride for Goulash or a groom? It's 2020. What's with these horny questions? Why are you trying to get us laid? Which of the 3 Strode girls would you kill off in Halloween Kills or Ends? One of the 2 older Strode women would probably need to die to allow Allison to grow as a character. That said, Allison should die. Doc, what's a monster or villain, say from folklore or mythology or urban legends, not yet in any films, but you think would be cool to see in a movie? The Shirime, a faceless creature of Japanese origin that has an eyeball where its butthole should be. Because Japan. Apparently cats randomly stalk you at the die-in theater. Do you find male cats or female cats to be more friendly to you, or is it about the same with both? I don't like what this question is insinuating. What's the thing you hate the most about Goulash? I'm afraid he might not like me. Makes me fucking angry! Do you plan on doing raps for horror movie characters? What am I, Weird Al? Would you join the Cult of Thorn? I'm already a lifetime member, complete with health and dental benefits. My question is, do you think you would try to become involved in the horror industry as a producer, director, etc. if you didn't do YouTube? Thanks for the content, Doc. Who says I can't still do that? I might do YouTube now, but I have larger ambitions than staying on this sinking ship of a website. How were you created? Like, did you have parents, or were you made by a mad scientist? Yes, I was made by a mad scientist in a laboratory. That mad scientist was my father's penis, and that laboratory was my mother's vagina. When are they going to release another Friday the 13th movie or Evil Dead doc? A new Evil Dead is on the way, going in a totally new direction, but Friday the 13th ain't coming back anytime soon. If you were going to take your horror hosting to the next level on a streaming service or good old regular TV, what kind of format, and would you have any preference for the type of horror you would show? Ideally, I would like a narrative-driven animated series on, like, Adult Swim, maybe. It'd also be neat to just make an MST3K-style show out of the die-in theater concept where there are actual scripted riffs and skits, but with R-rated movies and adult jokes that MST3K never really did. Can I buy goulash from you? I promise I will treat him like garbage. I'm sorry, I just can't take the risk that you won't. Were you allowed to watch R-rated films growing up, or did you sneak them? I ask because I was allowed to, and I think this is what rooted horror into me at a young age and turned me into a lifelong fan. No, I was forbidden from watching horror films. I was only allowed to watch hardcore pornography. I lived in a strict household. Did you ever think you would make it here? Where, my living room? No, I kinda doubted I'd accomplished this feat. Would you like a found-footage Friday the 13th movie? It would be interesting because Jason would be seen less and develop the characters more. Oh, a Friday the 13th with less Jason, more time with the victims, and bad camera work? Sign me up for sure. What's the future of your channel? 2 words. Hoverboards. How long does it take to put the goulash makeup on? It takes 15 hours to put on Goulash's makeup to get him looking somewhat presentable. Here's what he looks like without the makeup. Yeah. Religious at all? Of course I'm religious. Hail Satan! What's the rarest thing you own? This knife signed by Dag Fairch. I assume it's rare. What was the inspiration of your character? Character? What was the most disturbing movie you've ever seen before? Young Frankenstein scared the hell out of me. I'd love to make Dr. Wolfula style videos, but I don't want to rip you off. Is there room on the channel or a sister channel for new characters that would help contribute? Yeah, I don't know about other folks contributing to the channel or making a channel connected to this channel officially, but if you want to make vids like me, feel free. Just don't copy me exactly or steal my material. What do you think makes a good movie in general? Also, how do you separate the art from the artist? What determines a good movie is whether or not it has Melvin Dew in it. As for your other question, well, the actor who has played Melvin Dew entered some kind of new age space cult, but that doesn't make me love Melvin Dew any less. What is your favorite kind of gore? Pretty much when the guy's eyeball pops out in 3D in Friday the 13th Part 3 and you see his Nikes. You've been on here for a while. What keeps you going all this time? Did you ever think about stopping? I think about stopping making vids literally all the time. I'm considering it right now. You know what? I think I'll stick to it a little longer. The reason? I have nothing better to do for the foreseeable future. Will you visit Zimbabwe when you officially reach 100K? I'm already there! It's hot as hell! Who's your favorite superhero and supervillain? Personally, I love Nightwing and Scarecrow. My favorite superhero? America's firefighters. My favorite supervillain? America's arsonists. Let me use a cliche. Boxers or briefs? Commando. Are you going to do more gaming content? I actually do plan on doing Let's Plays and streams, but I want to hold off on it until the right time because anytime I do gaming content or anything different, people lose their shit and think that it's going to replace my actual movie reviews. It's a difficult balancing act. Do you own any DVDs or Blu-rays by Shout/Scream Factory? If so, what is your favorite that you have? I pre-ordered the Friday the 13th deluxe box set they're releasing in October. It set me back a pretty penny, but I'll have an unboxing/review of it when it comes out. What is your favorite video game series, Doc? I really like the BioShock series. The first and Infinite are 2 of my most replayed games ever. I own them on literally every game console. If you suddenly found yourself in the precarious position as ruler of all the earth, a god amongst mortal men, what would your first and second orders to all of humanity be? My first order is to love me unconditionally. My second order is to never ever leave me, please. Why does BAM keep sending you free boxes? I think BAMBox Horror might have some kind of BDSM humiliation kink. Why did you decide to separate your reviews as riff views and reviews? The reason why I introduced my old style of videos as riff views is simple. People miss that style, but that kind of video isn't an actual review. It's just going through the plot of a movie with jokes. So I decided to just call them riff views to address the distinction action and confusion. If you could have any horror movie prop, what would it be? Maybe the fake cyborg nipples from Jason X. What do you think is the best way for a horror movie to end? Unhappily, with questions left unanswered, which is how I hope you feel at the end of this Q&A. Were you at all inspired to make videos by late-night horror movie host Svengoolie? Or have you even heard of him at all? I've heard of Svengoolie, of course, but to tell the truth, I had very limited experience with horror hosts going into these videos. They just aren't playing horror hosts on TV much anymore, and they could be hard to stumble upon back in the day or even access at all. I would have been a huge fan of these hosts if they were actually available to me. The only horror hosts I vaguely knew about before I made vids were Elvira and Vampira. I've since watched clips of the great horror hosts that came before me to have an idea of the history, but I don't have a strong connection to any horror hosts because I wasn't exposed to them much. I was more a fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000, and that was what really influenced me. I just happened to be a horror fan that loved that show. Since Goulash said in that 2015 ask that he has a brutal little sister, where is she now? Oh, you must mean Kara, my goddaughter. I've been looking after her since her parents went, MIA. She thinks of Goulash as a brother. I don't see why. The girl is quite the firebrand, I must say. You may finally become acquainted with her someday in the future. Which sequel to a horror movie franchise would you personally like to see happen? Be honest. I won't bullshit. I'd like to see a new Friday the 13th, but I really want a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie. A farewell or a passing of the torch from Robert Englund as Freddy. Freddy vs. Jason should not be the send-off to the original Freddy. What are your thoughts on the steamier, more romantic segments of the horror fandom, i.e. shipping horror characters together, slasher thirst, monster fuckers, etc. I think people who are horny for horror villains, monsters, and real killers are fucking nasty. What color is Wolfulite shit? Alright, this Q&A is over. If you'd like your question answered in a future vid, email your query to drwolfulafanmail@gmail.com. If you liked this video, like it, and if you loved it, journey further into the Wolfulair by clicking the subscribe and bell buttons to find out when all of my latest videos and streams go live. This video was brought to you by my kind supporters on Patreon, whose names are scrolling by. Support the channel today on Patreon and get access to bonus movie and TV commentaries, audiobooks, comic readings, film live streams, and credits at the end of videos. Finally, I'd like to give a very special thanks to my true Wolfulite supporters on Patreon and my YouTube channel memberships for their pledges. Their support is greatly appreciated and helps the channel and my dark influence continue to grow. Thank you all once more from the bottom of my evil heart for your help. Alrighty, Dr. Wolfula signing out. See you all next time at the Wolfulair.